All right, we're live. Welcome to Insights from Philly, and today's special guest is Michael Solomonoff. Welcome, Michael. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, dude. How's it going?
I'm real excited. You're my first non-professional athlete as I move into a different realm now. So, but the main thing here is really my goal for the show is to tell people about famous people encounter obstacles and roadblocks. A lot of people think it's like an overnight success, like boom, all of a sudden you're famous and you're doing all this stuff. It's not like that at all. Tell me a little bit about some of the obstacles that you faced on your way to, I mean, you're James Beard Award winner multiple times. Like you have a lot of accolades coming your way, but it wasn't like an easy road for you.
No, I mean, I think that everybody goes through like really difficult times. I haven't met one person that has like achieved success, whatever that is. I haven't met anybody that hasn't overcome a lot of, either tragedy or hardship. So I feel like I'm not really unique in that sense, and I'm successful mostly because of the people that I surround myself with. And just sort of trying to work through things. I've been through a lot. Grief. My little brother David was killed while serving in the IDF. I've had, years and years, or a lifetime, some would say, of dealing with substance abuse and addiction and recovery. And I also think just restaurants in general are really, they can beat you up a little bit. I mean, now is an exceptional um, circumstance for everybody. But yeah, I mean, we don't. I have no idea what the next year. I mean, I don't know what next week is going to be like, and I certainly don't know what next year is going to be like. But I think that in a way, people have sort of said offhanded, "This is going to be one of the hardest moments of your life," and I'm like, "No way, dude! Like, recovery is blows all this out of the way." So I think that you know I'm successful, as I said, because of the people that I surround myself, specifically my loved ones and my family and my friends and my business partner, who is sort of all of those things. And that's been the sort of secret. But I there isn't anybody could look from the outside and peer in somebody's life and pretend to think that they know what that person has gone through, and usually you're wrong.
Well, you're an innovator. I mean, there weren't many people, I'm sure, that back when you opened Zahab that said, this is going to be, a world famous restaurant and change kind of the game, so to speak, as far as what people are doing. But you had
Yeah.
a mindset and a thought, well, I'm going to do this. Like, how did you decide to just go against what people were thinking and talking about and just say, I'm doing this?
I think that it was just a couple things. One, like the kind of food that we were cooking. If you wanted to be like a well-known chef, you cooked a certain way. And this was, 12 years ago, 13 years ago. So if you wanted to be if you wanted to be a serious chef, you had to cook a certain way. And every time we'd come up with menu items, it was like really like how to refine and how to just like dilute like real cooking, So I'd look back to influences of mine that were either through my professional career or my like childhood or going back to Israel, and figure out ways to like refine them and tinker with them and take them apart. And then I would go back home and visit my family in Israel, and I would go to the first restaurant, like whenever I travel, it's like 10 meals a day, right? Because I want to eat as much as I can. And I'd go to like a kebab shop, and you'd see 25 different cultures sort of on one table, and it was like fresh bread made in a taboon, like a beehive oven, and all these different things you've never heard of, and meat cooked over charcoal. And I was like, why aren't we? This is what I want to eat. This is what people want to eat, And so it took a little bit of time to figure out how to synthesize that, and how to bring that to the States. And it took us almost actually going under. We opened in 2008, and it was like an awful year to obviously open any restaurant, certainly an Israeli restaurant. And I was also at the end of my like active addiction run. So we opened this Israeli restaurant. The economy went to shit. Phillies won the World Series, which is great if you don't own an Israeli restaurant that like doesn't have a TV in it. And 4 months after we opened, my business partner drove me to detox and rehab. So it was like an awful first year, but we learned very quickly how to pay attention to our guests and how to be really true to what our role was this sort of this conduit for Israel and what all the different cultures and gastronomies that make up Israeli cuisine, and bring it to the States and sort of translate it, to our guests, and not just be like a business owner that was making Israeli food, or not just be, a grandparent that was like making the same thing from one region of the world. It was to take all these different cuisines that make up Israel and really tell a story with it. And that's, but it took a year of almost failing to do that.
And then you branched out from that and you opened, this fabulous fried chicken and donut place. What was the genesis for that? Like,
well, at that point, we'd opened Zahav, which was tanking or not doing well. We opened Percy Street Barbecue, which was also not doing well. And then it was like, we met the guys that brought the first people that brought third wave coffee to Philly, Tommy and Bobby, who owned Bodhi Coffee, which is in Head House. And we would just like lament on our crappy businesses. And we talked about, they wanted to open another coffee shop. We had a mutual friend, Felicia D'Ambrosia, who helped us open. She did all the sort of publicity, all the web, all the marketing, and this was like really grassroots. So it was myself and my business partner, Steve, Tommy and Bobby and Felicia, and we all put in like whatever amount of money we would be fine with losing to open this donut shop, coffee shop. And then we were like, let's just also do fried chicken. We'll do Korean fried chicken. And on day 2, we were like, oh my God, we might be onto something with this. So that's what Federal was. It was sort of not a joke per se, but it was like certainly nothing that we took super seriously. Now we've got, 6 of them, one at the ballpark. We're going to open a few more. Then we opened Dizengoff, which is a hummusia, Goldie.
My favorite hummus around. Definitely love that place.
Yeah, so we have a lot of things going on, and it definitely started at Marigold Kitchen. It started at this 30-seat BYOB in West Philly, and Steve opened in 2004, I think.
Yeah, a lot of people also know about some of your charity work. You want to tell me a little bit about some of that stuff?
We've got a really tight relationship with Broad Street Ministries, and they serve people that are hungry, people that are struggling. So we had at one point sort of diner, Jewish deli, where 100% of the profit would actually go towards Broad Street. We unfortunately have had to close that, but we maintain a really good relationship with them. And even now, despite everything going on, we're still cooking about 400 meals a week for Broad Street as well. So that's a big part of our, hospitality shouldn't be for just those people that can afford it, and I think that's sort of the issue with any major city in the U.S., but specifically Philly, which is a magical, wonderful, wonderful city, but unfortunately is the poorest large city in the States. And you can't walk from one of our restaurants to another without seeing somebody that deserves hospitality that doesn't have it, that is maybe living on the street, or maybe is missing a few meals a week. So I think for us to encompass what it is that we believe in, to live and die by the sort of treating people a certain way, we had to incorporate that into our ethos.
Well, I never told you this, but it seems like a good segue, just real briefly, which is back in the early 90s, I was working with the Jerome Brown Foundation, and Seth Joyner was one of the partners, and he was tight with those guys. So actually 1990 or so did some work with them. So they've been doing great stuff for 30 plus years. But
I think that's part of what we have to do as citizens, as community members. It doesn't work in a business. You're much more relevant and can do a lot if your business is doing well. But I think that we have to look at what Philadelphia means to us as a whole, and now, quite honestly, is what that means, and really assess what our role is in sort of humanity. And look at public schools and look at people that are at risk and youth at risk, which is a huge population here, and think about the things that we like need to do. It's our responsibility. It's our right to help other people, and it's uh, our responsibility as people in hospitality to really serve those that are deserving of etiquette, of hospitality, and figure out how we can do that.
Well, I mean, you definitely walk the walk. I mean, even outside of the stuff that you do for yourself and for everybody else. I mean, probably it was maybe about 6, 7 years ago, you donated yourself for an auction for the police athletic league event that I was doing. And
Yeah, we went surfing with a couple
yeah, you
friends.
had a guy, you took him down the shore and you had breakfast with him and lunch, and he got to have dinner at the Hav. So you're out there doing it, and I really appreciate that stuff.
Thanks, Craig. You're the one that makes all this happen as well, too. I've never had a conversation with you. I'm serious too. I'm not just saying this because we're live. I've never had a conversation with you. There's never been an ask that hasn't been to help out other, like a organization or something very Philly based that deserves and demands attention. So thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks for
it.
nagging me all the time and for calling me
Yeah, yeah, you're a lot harder to get a hold of now. But so tell me like some recent insights and some ways that you've had a pivot with what's going on right now. We're all on lockdown, and
We're sort of in transition right now. As I said, we've been doing the 400 meals a week to Broad Street, and we've been doing like 100 meals to healthcare workers. So that's been happening now. What we've also been doing is a couple like to go sort of situations, like takeout situations, a Shabbat dinner, Passover dinner. We've got more of those on the way, actually happening this week, with the proceeds of those specific dinners going towards our managers at Cook and Solo, helping to pay for their health care. And then we did a huge campaign where we raised $150,000 in gift card sales that was distributed to all of our hourly
wow,
employees.
that's awesome.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, we have 450 employees, so it's not, we need to continue that. But it's crazy. I mean, we have no idea what's happening.
Well, I also didn't tell you, I ordered one of those briskets from your meat purveyor, and
Oh, cool. The Braga one. Yeah, that was a cool one, right?
dude, first of all, when my mom got this piece of meat, she was like, what am I going to do with this? Like, it was like 15 pounds. So
Yeah, I make really good sandwiches for like a week afterwards.
yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be that. So I had to come by, I had to like cut it up, and yeah, it was like we fed the neighborhood basically. But that was pretty awesome.
That's a good recipe. Did you use the recipe or did you make it your own?
Yeah, so she had to cut it in half. So she did half was the coffee thing. We kind of had to improvise. There was that one. I don't think we had. Was it cardamom? I don't remember.
Yeah, black cardamom. Nobody has that.
Yeah, so we kind of improvised on that one. But so when you think of Philly, we have a minute and a half left here. When you think of Philly, what are like the three things that like are the core Philly things to you, in no particular order?
It's hard to not say food, but I just think like history, man. Philly is such an important place. It's such an idyllic place. I mean, in terms of like the philosophy or the sort of ethos of Philly, to me, it represents like a true American city. I really do love it here. It is a special place in terms of like the cost of living and kind of what you get and value. But I love it. History, culture. There's so many different kinds of people that live here, and it's like real. Everybody's kind of together, and food. But I don't know. The music scene here is sick. The museums and like the modern art, like the pop art scene is sick. And we're such an underdog city, dude. I love it. I grew up in Pittsburgh, which I feel like is like a Midwestern Philadelphia, and I think that I really just love it. I love the spirit of the city. I love the soul of the city. It is something that is real, and that is like special, and that is like right now.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on. And for those of you that don't know, definitely check out Zahav or Dizengoff or Federal Donuts. All those places are great. And with that, we're out. And